What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Hello, hi y'all. Daniel Aaron here. I am your host, and this is the Art of Vibrant Living show. I am delighted that you are with us. Thank you. We have an awesome show happening today, an amazing guest. First, though, why are you here? As in, why are you here in the show? But really, why are you here on the planet? And I give you a possibility that you are here to create an amazing, vibrant, thriving life. And so our purpose here in this show is to help you to do that, to live even more of a masterpiece life. So, invitation to you, take some of the wisdom that you get today. Sam will drop some gold nuggets in your path. Pick at least one up and say, yeah, I'm going to try that on. I'm going to play with it in my life. And if I can be of service to you, if you'd like to have a conversation, I'd love to meet you. So feel free to reach out to me, daniel@danielaaron.com. Let's connect. And Sam Cohen, one of the most sincere, heartful, devoted people I've ever met. 10 years in the tech world, he's now oriented his life to service, to community, to living the most soulful, integrous life possible and empowering other people to do that. We are in for a treat. Sam, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi there. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Awesome. So I said a tiny bit about who you are, a dude who was in the tech world who made a switch, but would you fill in the gaps a little bit? You know, how did you get to this point in your life and doing the work that you're doing now?
Good question. I never had any strong vocational direction growing up, so I had to sort of figure it all out, and made a few generic moves to begin with, going into banking and then fintech, and then got a few opportunities to actually help build businesses. And I did that for many years with some success. And along that journey, I got introduced to many professional coaches, but one in particular had a very big impact on me. And we built a formidable relationship. And I continued on that path, on that dual path of building businesses, as well as building my own sort of internal spiritual estate out for many years. And the beginning of this year, with the birth of my second son, I decided that actually the coaching, the working from heart and the service piece of what I was doing needs to become center stage. And I need to drop some of the other functional elements that I was doing and focus on really just sharing my wisdom and accepting that being me is in of itself valuable to others, and embracing that and moving forward with that.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, as you speak that, it reminds me of so many people know the famous poem from Marianne Williamson about our deepest fear. One of my favorite lines in there, though, is as you liberate yourself, you automatically liberate others. So, you know, when I hear the depth of your self-calling toward authenticity and to living in a soulful way, I say, yeah, cool. The world needs more of that. You're automatically empowering other people into that. And I heard you use some great fresh phrasing in some of the things you said. One particular coach, and we built a formidable relationship. That's exciting. So, and since we are both immersed in the coaching world, and so are a lot of the people that come to us, and come to think of it, in fact, more and more of the world is entering into the coaching world because the secret's out. It works. It's good stuff. Do you want to say who is that one coach that had the big impact on you?
Full name?
As you like, if it whatever works. Yeah.
I'll leave some mystery, but his name is Marco. He's Dutch, and based in the Netherlands, but has clients in London. And he lifted out of me this primal tribal dialogue that I was rooting through my internal monologue, and allowed me to see that actually I wasn't alone in thinking these things, and that you could live a life based on these principles, ideas, unconventional thought systems. And that really opened up a different universe to me.
Holy moly, that's beautiful. Yeah, and as you started to respond to my question, I said who, but really more interesting to me than who is what was your experience, which you just gave us some of, right? Like why was that impact so great for you? So would you take us a little deeper into that? Like what did that look like, or what did it sound like? What is the meaning? Tribal dialogue that was coming through your monologue. I mean, I hear when you say that, like, I don't know if this is accurate, so you tell me, but what I hear is, yeah, there was some conditioning or some limitations that were, I don't know, infecting you, or that you were living out of, and you started to see that and get free of it in a different way. Was it something along those lines, or how would you put it?
I always knew that, in the sense of like, this world is so rich and complicated, your background is just one tiny insight into that. But that sort of waking up, getting in your car, going to work 9 to 5, just like ticking those boxes, to live that type of life has nobility and beauty and purpose for sure. But like, it's not all there is. And I always knew that, like, there's so many ways to do it. So he didn't awaken me from thinking that life had more rich possibilities. But what he did awaken me into seeing, or into knowing, is that just drop the bullshit and like just run your own race and tap into the instincts that are true to you unashamedly. And then there were some things that introduced me to Kundalini yoga and other sort of more esoteric things. But more than that, it was just how to be a high quality human man, person that walks the earth with heaviness, confidence, presence. And before all the coaching work that I was doing was all sort of like my secret. Nobody sort of knew that I was this self-development junkie. And then slowly, more and more, I was like, no, I'm ready to share. This is what I do. This is what I love. And so, yeah, he was a big catalyst for me to get that level of confidence.
Okay, cool. I love it. Yeah. So, it helped you to come out of the closet in some way here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you mentioned earlier that with the birth of your second son, that was part of what prompted you to say, yeah, you didn't say it in this language exactly, but yeah, there's some things I need to let go of in order to become who I really am and what I'm really here for, which is part of what I heard you say in response to my last question too. Walk with, you said heaviness, and I hear that as kind of like gravitas, like and have more purpose and be more true to yourself.
Yes.
And so what was going on for you? What's the relationship with, and I'm saying this a little bit simply because I have my own guesses about this and my own experience as a parent, but what was it about the birth of your second son? Why was that timing? What happened then?
I just had to make a decision as to whether or not I double down, as like, now that you've got 2 kids to look after, right? Like, things compound quickly, costs, energy, emotional input required. Like there's nowhere to hide anymore. Like one child is a different ball game. So after the second son, it was, all right, what are you doing now? Are you going to double down as this operations consultant, having left the world of sort of being in the tech? I was in the tech world, inside businesses, operating them. Then I was a consultant, and I needed to work out, okay, Sam, you're going to continue being a consultant? Are you going to go and get a job? Or are you going to find the most pure expression of who you're meant to be in this world and figure it out and go on that journey? And yeah, I knew that I had some contracts, some long-term contracts tailing off. I knew that like I didn't have complete certainty over what's going on in the future economically, and I needed to decide pretty quickly how am I going to make things work. And I chose the path of uncertainty and discomfort because I believe it to be true and right for me, and I believe that, you know, it's a moral obligation, as you said earlier, to share the gifts that you have with the world and to do the work that you need to do to really harness them. So I'm in that process. I'm on that journey, and I'm learning, I'm growing and developing, but I feel like it is 100% the right choice to have made. But I've got to make it happen.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, and clearly you are in the process of making it happen. And I highlight and echo, you said something beautiful and powerful that's worth all of us paying attention to again, which is you chose the path of uncertainty, right? And that goes against one part of our wiring, the part of us that's oriented simply towards survival doesn't want uncertain, ironically, because there is no real certainty anyway, right? Anything could happen at any moment, though you recognized the options, and this one is less certain. And so that must have, well, let me not assume, was that challenging for you? What was that like for you to make that decision?
I mean, it's still challenging. It's hard. But it's right for me at this time. And it means that I can ascend. One of the phrases that I tell myself that I'm sort of, one of my mantras is that I'm trying to empty so that I can expand to ascend. And the more that you do that process of emptying to expand to ascend, is like a lung that empties, then expands again, and then you go higher. I want to get to where I'm meant to be. And if I just stay where I was before as a COO or operations and just building businesses that I don't have this sort of internal, deep, soulful connection with, then I'm just going to live a small portion of what I could be doing. And I want to live a beautiful, kaleidoscopic, rich life of awe and amazement. And so I don't know how that's going to look at the final iteration. But I know that I'm at the beginning of a journey, and I think that I can walk on this path infinitely. So it's an infinitely long path of growth, of development, of enrichment. And so it feels like I'm super alive in many ways, but that's not to say that I don't have this voice on my shoulder sometimes saying, Sam, you've got X coming up, Y coming up. How are you going to, you do have these real life concerns. So just trying to make it all work is where I am. And I'm confident that, in a couple of years, I would have been able to look back and say, these were the hard yards at the beginning, but it was 100% worth it. And I can be a stand for others that want to really go and follow their purpose and their passion and want to get unstuck from the social constructs that they believe that they're bound to.
Hallelujah. I love that. what it brings to mind for me, one of my favorite quotations from Abraham Maslow. He said, "What man can be, man must be." Woman too, right? And another of my favorite quotations is, "The quality of our lives is equal to the amount of uncertainty we can comfortably tolerate." And I think that word comfortable can be a little bit slippery because it's not really comfortable. So it's maybe like, how much discomfort, how much uncertainty can we handle, be okay with, not freak out about too much? Some freak out. That's good because that means we're growing, right? So, and you described, I love what you described about this life of beauty, and can you said it so poetically, kaleidoscopic possibility, and and I highlight maybe for you, but also certainly for our audience, that you're also not creating that life somewhere down the line. You're creating it right now by the brave choices to follow the untrodden path, right? To break out from what was more secure or certain, yet also lacked some level of truth for you. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And, for you and for everybody, you said it like that, you hope that that's helpful or inspiring for others. It is, right? There's no other way. There's nothing possible, because you doing that changes, right? We know that the butterfly effect is a real thing, right? So you having the courage, the bravery, the wisdom to go for what's true for you in service of beauty and possibility, it's automatically changing the world. Yeah, and who knows? Somebody here, they're like, "I'm on the fence. Should I keep the thing that I know feels secure?" It's not, by the way, it's not really secure, right? You think it might be secure, but it's not. Like, I'm getting excited here. I've worked with a few clients recently who are like, should I leave my corporate thing, or go out and start my own business? And twice recently, the corporate thing they thought was so secure, right? Changed. They lost it all after 20 years in one case, right? So it's much more certain, actually, to trust in ourselves and go into the unknown, because at least we've got ourselves and we're building ourselves and creating ourselves. So, pardon me, I got excited there and went on a
That's
tangent.
right.
Though that's what you're doing. And again, who knows? Like, somebody listening to this, watching us, might be like, "Wow, Sam did that. I can do that too," right? In whatever way is true to them.
100%.
So, go ahead. Were you going to say something more in
I mean,
response?
no, that would be a beautiful outcome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we're all doing it, right? There's another great quotation. I think it was Peter Drucker who said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it," right? So you're in process of creating that and doing it for others. Now, that opens up another treasure chest here, doing it for others. And I know some of what you are working on and doing is yet to be revealed to the greater world. So we'll just build a little intrigue. But is there anything you can say about, what you did feel is true in terms of your work? I get that you've maybe moved beyond working with companies that you don't necessarily resonate with in the fullest level, and you're doing something more on your own, and you know collective co-founder and coach. Like, what can you tell us about what that means?
There's two parts there. That's like, the first part is which work did I really enjoy doing, and the
Hmm.
second part is how am I translating that into the collective. Um, we're living in a world increasingly whereby you can't have this very clean, discrete separation between your personal self and your professional self. Things are just intertwined, and I'm not going to try and guess all the reasons why now, or
Hmm.
sort of opine on them, but they are, right. You've got your one energy source, and that energy you can lever up and down and play within different environments, but actually the level of intensity and drive you're bringing into your work is conditioned by what's going on at home. If you have a stable home life, if you have financial insecurity, if you have people that you're looking after that are unwell, and what resonated with me is that, lots of people in business want to make money, and that's great, and we all need to make money, to survive. But actually, what I found the most rewarding, intriguing, enriching was not only unlocking the opportunity and the potential that people had within themselves, but it was to try and help the people at the top that had a lot of pressure and stress, and didn't really have anybody to be honest with and talk to from the heart in a non-judgmental, vulnerable way. That's the part of business that I loved, which was being with these people that were taking on the world and just being there for them and helping them move through it by making peace with the personal aspects of who they are that are clouding, interfering, and challenging the decisions that they're making day to day. So that was the work that I loved to do and was doing more and more. And I came from the world of tech and VC and scaling businesses and raising money and all those great things. And I wanted to sort of step out of that ecosystem where the focus isn't on just scaling businesses at all costs, breakneck speed of scaling. This is almost, I want to have resonance. I want to build a powerful network that delivers value to people. But this is in some ways the anti-scale, because it's about touching one individual at a time. And maybe you have a show like this, or you build a program or podcast, or you write a book, and actually you can touch loads of people at once. But to start with, we want to have authentic and meaningful relationships with individuals, 30 to 40-year-olds mainly, but the span is going to be wider, whereby we can create a safe space, a clearing for them to come into and interface with themselves and like-minded individuals that are living their lives at a cost, that they may be making a lot of money, or they may be traveling the world, or whatever it is, but actually it's coming at an emotional cost, a spiritual cost, a physical cost, whatever it may be. So we want to try and help people find balance, to find purpose, to find fulfillment, and not be trapped in a 2D world whereby they're ticking the boxes. They think that people around them think they're doing the right things, but actually in their heart of hearts, they're a bit empty, lonely, and feel like they don't have somebody to talk to in their darkest days. Like my favorite quote, not of all time, but one that I really go to is, and it's so simple, but when I heard it, it hit me so hard, is Ram Dass. He goes, we're all just walking each other home. And it doesn't really matter if your home is beautiful, small, whatever it is. Like, we're just human beings trying to have the best life that we can, however we define it. Without that connection, without that relationship, without that meaning, it's empty. So we're just walking each other home. And that really speaks to the work that I want to do in the collective.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, well, and it's good. It's a good synchronicity. Ram Dass lived out his last phase of his life here on this island. We got to see each other fairly often. I wrote about him in my book, and that quotation is so beautiful, because it speaks to the collective, right? And it speaks to our equality, and it speaks again to the destination and the journey being the same. So that's beautiful. I love what you're sharing with that. So, well, let me ask you this, kind of a side note, I suppose, in a way, but how is your parenting journey? You've got two young sons. How is that related to your work and your being authentic in your life? And yeah, how does that fit with your own path of vibrant living?
I mean, My eldest in particular, he's my biggest coach. He shows me every day where I'm not free. He shows me messages that have been trapped inside from my childhood that surface. And every day I try and be better for him, for my wife, for my young son. And it's challenging. I'm very present. I want to do the very best. I came from quite a atypical home. And so for me, having a stable, harmonious home of equanimity, tranquility, harmony, for me, it's priority number one. And I don't always meet my own standards, and I always want to do better. And I know it's hard. I know nobody does it perfectly, but it's tough. But on the other side, it is just an unbelievable gift. The level of joy and purpose that my sons bring and my family brings is unparalleled. So I really want to show up for them at the level that I know I can be. And we took our eldest son, Zev, up Machu Picchu at 6 months old. So my background is of him in the little carry case, and we traveled the world with him. And, we are very tightly bonded, and it's, I'm living the life of my dreams in many, many ways. So yeah, I'm loving it, but it makes me grow.
Yeah. Well, okay, cool. So a couple thoughts come to mind. One, I have a daughter that's 17. I took her to Machu Picchu a couple of years ago.
Amazing.
And related to what you said about your son, your oldest son specifically, in this case, being your greatest coach, I remember when my daughter was just a toddler and I was running live events, personal and spiritual transformation events. I would, get the event going, and then I would do a little ruse with the participants, and I would talk about all my teachers and how much I've grown because of my teachers. And I say, a special treat. I have my most important guru here. I want to introduce you to, right? And then I would, bring my daughter up, and so it's sort of joking, but of course, sort of pointing to the same truth that you are, and it's something that we say and we hear often. They're my greatest teachers, and of course, we want to show up the best because they're modeling us in so many ways too, right? There's a pressure. I don't know. I'd say a positive pressure with that. But is there an example that you can bring forward of a way that your son shows you that you're not as free as you could be or want to be, and how that works and how you work with it?
I think the best example that I can give that comes to me is, and I read this somewhere, it's, if God came to you, or the divine, or whatever you see that is, came to you and said, right, I'm going to now unfurl or unfold all of my divine energy and light into your vessel, you. How many vessels can you have? How much is your capacity to absorb this, right? And it's an abstract concept. I think of like milk pails or whatever it is. There's nothing stopping us from increasing the amount of receptacles to absorb this beauty, this love, this energy. And so the way it translates into how, the lessons with my son is that when I feel short, when I feel tight, when I feel like I've got no more emotional bandwidth, I have to say to myself, Sam, grow your absorptive capacity, add the milk pails, add the receptacles around you so that it can flow in and you can feel like there's just an ascending level of processing power that you have to be able to stay centered and grounded in your parenting. And it's challenging, especially when you see parts of yourself so strongly in your child, and you're looking at the parts of yourself that are hard to reconcile, or are just hard work. I'm high energy, I'm intense, I am many, many things, and I see those behaviors in my son, And so it hits you quickly, right? It hits you quickly because they meet you at the level that you're at. And so the journey is, the art is adding capacity to stay in your center of gravity, in your power, and just be low and a stabilizing force for good, and not get caught up in the chaos of being a young guy.
Well said. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm with you. I've maintained for many years that the most important growth paths, spiritual development paths, are parenting and business, right? And I've spent a lot of my time in meditation and therapy and yoga centers and navel gazing, one could say. And the most growth, at least in my experience, and I've seen it with a lot of students and clients, is it's like when we got to show up, right? And that's how it is in business and in parenting. We got to show up. And just like you said, in those moments when I feel short or I feel impatient or uptight, the question is right there in front of us in this being that we love. Like, is this what you want to bring? Is this who you want to be right now? And I remember when my daughter was not even a toddler yet, small, and she was spending nights with me. Her mother and I were not a couple, and she was spending nights with me. And and like all babies do, she would wake up and be crying, and I'd be scratching my head like, "What's wrong? And what do we do? And how do we? What do you need?" And I'd try this, and I'd sing and get a bottle, and walk around and talk to the dog, whatever. We try everything, and when it wouldn't work over and over again. And I really understood, like, for the first time, I used to be judgmental of people that hurt babies or shake them or that kind of thing, because I felt in me at times like I was so tired and short, like I could feel how it would be tempting to take that out. But because the love is so strong, the love would always win over that impulse, right? And that helped me to grow and be more loving. Now, not to sound too holy, like there were times when I lost my cool or yelled or got impatient, for sure. But there's always like that love, just I think, calls us to another level of growth and capacity, right? Milk buckets, as you said. So thank you for sharing that, and also for taking that on in such a beautiful, heartful, and noble way. Because again, that makes a difference in the world. That's freeing more people.
Thank you. I'm just trying my best.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Okay. So let me check in with you, Sam, as time's flying along. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that I should have, or that you would like to bring forward in this conversation?
I mean, not. There's nothing that's jumping out specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there doesn't need to be. That's totally fine. So I know that as things evolve forward for you, there's going to be some new stuff coming. You're working with people as a coach now, and there's the launch or the creation of a collective and community coming. For those who right now might want to be in touch with you or learn about what you're up to, what's the best way for people to reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I've got up my personal email, my personal number. Those are the direct ways. At the moment, we are building out the website for the collective, and yeah, moving forward that way.
Okay, perfect. Cool. So LinkedIn, and they can find you on LinkedIn at Sam Cohen.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So I think that brings us to the final question, the big question. I joke about it as being impossible question, because you've got a lot of experience, right? You're obviously a intelligent, articulate guy with some courage and wisdom, and I'm going to ask you to take all of that and distill it into one thing. So if you have one thing you could offer, one thing you could say to the audience that would help them to live their most vibrant, thriving life, what's that one thing you say?
Don't be scared to be you. Be courageous. Listen to what's inside.
Don't be scared to be you. Be courageous. Listen to what's inside. Well said. I love it. That's beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Well, Sam, thank you so much for not just for, taking the time to be with us today. I appreciate that. But also for who you are creating yourself to be, for making those challenging choices, not just to leave the old, the tech world, the illusion of security behind, but for the choices you're making on a daily basis to really live into who you truly are and help us all make a more beautiful world. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, awesome. All right. And for y'all in our audience, superheroes of vibrant living, thank you. Right. Again, take some of the advice, try it on. What would it mean for you today if you trust in yourself, right? If you believe in yourself, if you listen, if you pause and listen, what's true for me today? What's true for me in this moment? It might not be what the program said. It might not be what feels safe. What would change in your life if you do that? So thank you for being here. Please join us again soon. And in the meantime, please make your life a masterpiece. Mahalo for tuning in to the Art of Vibrant Living show, y'all. I'm Daniel Aaron, and may you live with great vibrancy.